Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Jack. Jack's from London in the UK. So let's see what Jack has to say. Enjoy the interview. So, hello, Jack. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really well. How are you?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
No problem at all.
So, tell me, how was your day today?
Yeah, good. I've been in a few meetings, but it's a Monday, so for me it's mostly just a lot of admin and day off basically. But I had a few calls and bits, but otherwise a low key one, a nice relaxing one. And yourself?
Been great as well. It's been busy. I love being busy. I think when you have those busy days, it feels great. It feels productive.
Yeah.
I like your background. I like the scenario. Where are you right now?
This is actually this is a window. It's a reflection of what's in front of me, so you can see what I can see basically, just reversed. But I'm in King's Cross in London. I'm in King's Cross.
So you're based in London as well?
Yeah. I live in North London. I live about 15 minutes up that way.
Oh wow.
But I've just wandered down here. There's loads of nice restaurants and cafes and bits, so it's good for meeting people whenever you need, and also just sitting and doing a bit of work or reading or whatever it is, you know.
That's amazing.
And the station is there, so.
And London is the place where you're born and raised?
Yeah, I was born in South London, in a place called Croydon.
Okay.
And then I moved. I studied outside of London, but then moved back, and then I moved to North London just at the start of this year. Basically, I moved up the road, so I've not been there too long.
What was the best part of the best joy of growing up in London, in your opinion?
I mean, I think if you ask that question, I think you're thinking about London as the city, you know. Whereas where I grew up was it's right on the edge, right on the outskirts. You have zones in London. You have like zone 1, which is the middle, and it goes out and out and out. And zone 6 is the outside. And I grew up in zone 6 of London. It was very much, South London is very much like its own thing.
Yeah.
It's completely separate of North London or East or West or whatever. But South London people are, I mean, it's very working class. The schools are very working class. It's very multicultural, which is brilliant because you learn a lot from a lot of people, you know, as you're not really closed off to the world. And I think that's probably true of London in general, is you have so many influences, which is great.
Amazing. Okay, so let's start the interview talking about your career as a singer, as a musician. Yeah, so tell me how everything started.
So my father's a musician, not professionally, but he's a very, very good guitarist. He's a good pianist, but he's got a good music brain as well. But he bought me a guitar when I was maybe 8. This like horrible, terrible, cheap thing from like a secondhand sale, which of course he wasn't going to buy me something expensive, just something cheap to start with. But he bought me that, and then I didn't pick it up for about 4 years, 3 or 4 years. And then when I was 11, 12, we didn't have a lot of money when I was young, and we used to have students from places like Belgium and France stay with us on school when they were like on a trip.
Oh wow.
One of these students, I remember his name was Henry, I think, but he came and stayed with us in our spare room, and he played the guitar, and he asked to borrow my guitar because I never touched it. And I watched him play it, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. And then I started learning, and that was me from like 11, 12. I just slowly I just never put it down, really.
That's amazing. I love those stories where, of course, you had your dad who was a musician, you some influence somehow, you saw somebody else playing as well the guitar, then you just, okay, that's me.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. That's amazing. Okay, Jack, so during the interview, I'm going to explore a bit more about your life and also about your journey so far, okay?
Sure.
But before we start our journey, William the Magic Box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself, or maybe something that not many people know about you.
Oh, it's such a broad question, isn't it? Such a broad question. Interesting about myself, saying not people. I mean, I don't know. I'm quite an open person, so most people know things as they happen. I don't really withhold a lot of information. I was a big into sport when I was younger. I played a lot of sport when I was a kid.
Right.
And then when I was about 12, 13, for about 4 years, I was quite unwell and had to stop doing sport, which is why music then took over. And I just basically stuck by a guitar and a piano and all the rest, and discovered I could sing. But I still love my sport, and I watch an awful lot these days. I watch a lot of American football,
Okay.
probably more American football than I do like the Premier League, like the English football.
Wow. So why is that? Why is that? Why this passion about American football?
So my father, me and my father are very similar people. We look nothing alike, but we are really similarly wired. And he always watched the Super Bowl every year, since he was my age, and he always said to me that I should watch it. He wasn't a forceful parent. He never made me sit down, but he always said, "Someday you should watch it." And then when I was about 17, 18, I think maybe I'd just gone to university, so maybe it was 18, 19. Me and my housemate just decided for no reason whatsoever to start watching it.
And that's it.
And then I went home and I think I'd watched the Super Bowl with my dad finally, sat down and watched one. And then over that summer and going into the new season, we then when I went back to university, started watching it, and I just loved the game. And I've been to watch it a fair few times, and I think it's I tune in as much as I can for it. Although it's always late nights because of the time difference. But,
I know. That's amazing. Jack, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through memories in life and share your point of views?
Let's do it, man.
Amazing. Welcome to William in the Magic Box. So I have here my best friend. From the phone questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a song just for us to relax before the first question. Okay? Let's do it. I don't think he's going to be able to dance with me, yeah?
Not here, unfortunately. There's a whole restaurant. Just bear in mind, there's a whole restaurant behind me that can see.
At the audience, people are going to start stopping to look at you in a minute. It's going to be like a live show, William the Magic Box live show from London. I love it.
I see. Yeah. There's a whole restaurant, so they'll
it's going to be like a big audience watching live.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Jack, so before we start the game, if it comes up a question that you don't want to answer, don't want to talk about, always can change, okay?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Amazing. First question is, what's your idea of a perfect day?
Perfect day?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. If I wake up, do you know, I always say one of my life mottos that I live by is that the wind gives rain a bad reputation. I think rain's brilliant. I love the rain. It's just normally when it rains, it's cold and windy. And so people think they hate rain, but they don't. They just hate the cold and the wind. Right. But when it's warm and rainy, I think that's so if I woke up and it was nice and warm, but there was a soft rain outside, and healthy breakfast. I just love writing music. I like spending time in the studio, which is always great. A walk. I live near my flat is on a canal, so walking down the canal is always beautiful.
Wow.
Just these sort of things, the small things, the going out for a spot of lunch or something, and being able to sit outside and be within the elements, and then I don't know, just spending time with friends or family. I love my family a lot. I'm very close to my family, although I don't see them as much as I could, because I see them as much as I can, but I'm just really busy.
Right.
But I spending time with friends or family, whether that's going to the pub, going to back home and just sitting with them in my family home or whatever it is. I think being with people that you love, those sorts of things.
Wow. And which person right now in your family or in your friends, or which person right this moment you feel more close to or more connected with right now?
I mean, my flatmate we live together.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly, I have one sister. She's about 3.5, 4 years younger than me, and she is like my best friend in the world.
Wow.
My mum and dad are both like my best friends. So we're really close. We're really well knit. As I say, me and my dad are like the same bloke. We're musicians and we watch the same sport and we like the same films and all the rest of it. But yeah, my sister is. I think there's something really special about having a sibling when you have a good relationship with a sibling who you kind of know you're like
Yeah.
that we are going to be best friends for the rest of our lives, and it's always
Oh,
going to be us, you know. And we have a really good relationship. So we talk about everything together. She's the best. She's the best.
right. So she's watching this interview right now. When you have a moment, an opportunity to send her a message, what would you say? She's watching.
What would I say? I'll tell her that she needs to move out of home and get herself up to London. She needs to come and live close by me so we can spend more time together and do cool things together.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. Very sweet. Next question. Let's do it. Hey, Jack from London. Next question is, what's the best advice have you ever given?
That I've ever been given.
You give it to someone.
Best advice I could give.
Yeah, to someone. You have given to someone.
Oh, I don't know if I'm qualified to be an advice giver.
When I say advice, it means, like, it doesn't need to be like a professional advice, but something that, somehow you shared the experience with someone that was a good life experience or something that you shared that was nice.
I think the one thing I always try and live by is that I think the most successful people in any walk of life, whether it's music or an actor or not even creative, even businessmen,
Yeah.
I think the most successful people are people who are students of what they do, always.
Yes. Good point.
And I think it really, that characteristic comes out in a certain humble nature that people have. And I watch a lot of interviews and things with the best of the best, mostly in creative worlds, and I always find the most successful people are so humble because they're still students. They still want to learn from everybody, and I think everybody's got a lesson to teach. And if you give everybody the time of day, you can't give everybody all of the time in all of your days, but if you give everybody a bit of respect and the time of day, over the course of a year, you might learn 100 little lessons from people that you've just given a couple of minutes to. And that's almost better than just learning one big lesson from one person at one time, and so you can learn something from everybody. If you're always a student of just life, but the craft or whatever it is that you love doing or want to be better at, then you can always learn from people, and always improve yourself. So that's, I think, what I try and do.
Tell me a life lesson that life has taught you that you feel very grateful for.
A life lesson that that's really good. That's really good. Wow, it's a big question, man. Whoa. That I feel grateful for. Something that I've learned in my life. I think I'm always learning. I try not to be. I think when I was younger, when I talk about the area environment I grew up, it was a real fight in a working class world to be the biggest fish in a small pond, and the funniest. I went to drama school. I studied as an actor at university.
Oh wow!
Because when I was that age, they were both the same, whereas music took over. But I actually went to drama school, and that environment of creative education at university level is real. It's a real fight to be the biggest, the loudest person, the funniest person, or whatever. And I think maybe I fell out of love with acting for that reason. And I think maybe something that I've learned is that you don't have to force work or force yourself onto people, and that if you're just passionate about what you do and you believe in it, that people will come to you and people will gravitate towards you. And if you just smile and you're kind and you're transparent with people and honest with people, I think that always comes to you.
I love that. When you are yourself, like when you where you're truly self towards people, they feel it. That's why the people connect with us, because they can feel it. Even though they don't know you very well, but
Yeah,
there's this connection. They can feel it, that you're being your truly self, and that's what attracts the right people for you. That's how I
yeah,
see it.
100%.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, so before the next question, tell me, what's the biggest joy of singing? When you are performing, you are, doing your passion. Tell me the feeling, and what do you find most challenging about your career?
Okay. For me, I mean, I'm gonna broaden that a little bit. Just singing specifically, just you mean like sort of performing, yeah?
Yeah, performing, singing, or when you are
Yeah,
doing
when
your.
you're playing, yeah, for sure. So I'm a big storyteller. That's kind of people ask me a lot how I describe the music, and I always say it's more just about storytelling. I read a lot. I love films. I love music, but when books to me really immerse me. Um, and I'll often pluck sort of words or phrases out of a book that I think are really beautiful, and I'll save
Wow.
them for later, and sometimes reword a few and put them. They inspire lyrics, or sometimes I go straight into songs or things like that. But why I think it comes from is this innate sort of storytelling desire where I like to. I like writing songs that have characters in them almost they have a narrative. You meet somebody at the beginning of a song and then you learn about the character and you learn why something's happened to them or how it's changed them or what they're doing. And rather than, I think what the music industry is flooded with a lot, which this is not a criticism, but people write songs about a feeling. I'm heartbroken and I love her and miss her, but without really telling us what happened between these two people. I want to know what happened between person A
Right,
and person B, and
right.
all of these things. I try and be quite specific with the stories that I write, and
Yeah,
so I just love storytelling, and I think being up on stage and having people engage with the lyrics and the story, um, I enjoy that. And I enjoy the reactions and people telling me how they felt about those specific stories. I think
wow. And the flip side, what do you find most challenging about the career?
it's busy, so busy. I've been doing it for not a long time. I'm only 25 years old, but 6 years. 6 years ago, I started performing with a band, um,
Wow.
and writing with a band and recording music with a band, and I've not stopped for 6 years. And
Wow.
it's so hard. I literally didn't go on holiday for maybe 5 years because I was just bang, bang, bang. And then at the end
Wow.
of last year, I went on about 4 holidays in
You made it up. You made
it
it up.
was. I think I went away pretty much every 2-3 weeks for like between September and January. I was just away every 2-3 weeks, more than four. And that was like my big. Let's go away for the back end of 2024, and then I moved out of South London into the new place, and it was like right restart. And it's busy. You have to be really patient.
Totally.
You have to be really committed and consistent, and you have to learn to love it, and you have to
Yeah,
learn to love the graft of it, because it's 1 in a million people that just get lucky when they're 18 and shoot to stardom. And in fact, I think it happens far less in the modern world than it did 10 years ago, even. So you're going to have to pay your dues and you're going to have to work hard. And I think the most important thing to make that successful is to fall in love with doing it and the idea of being someone who came from nothing and really made their way. And so
totally.
that's what I try and do. But it's challenging at times to always fall in love with it.
Totally. I think even though you do something with passion, there's always a challenge part of the journey as well. You know what I mean? The challenge come,
Yeah.
but as you said, you're 6 years working hard. That's when you love something, what you do. That's what happened. You just go for it. You just do it, do it, do it. In one
Yeah.
point, you go like, my God, I need to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Next question is: if you were to raise a child, what is the most important things would you like them to learn?
The guitar, an instrument. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think if I was to raise a child, I think the world would be a different place to what it is now. And I think it's really hard to predict that, if let's say I have let's say my first child is born in 10 years time,
Mm-hmm.
when they're learning their sort of first cognitive lessons, they're of like sort of 3, 4, 5 years. You're talking about like 13, 15 years away.
Yeah.
Who knows what the world's going to look like in 13, 15 years? I have no idea, you know, and I think that's both a scary and beautiful prospect.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I think just the only thing that will always remain true is to just, everybody has something going on in their life, and everybody has their own reasons to be happy in the morning and sad at night, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Just kindness goes an awful long way, and that I think that you just can't judge a book by its cover at all.
Totally.
That's the most important thing.
What's the biggest joy of being Jack? What like the most about being you?
About being me. I think I don't think music is it's not you can learn to play guitar, you can learn to sing. Some people cannot, but you can generally learn to sing. You can learn to improve your voice if you really put yourself at it. I think writing music is something that you either have a knack for and you don't. And I always say that I don't think I've worked hard. Whether people can, you know, songwriting is art form is subjective. No one, it might be good to one person and bad to another. But I feel really privileged to have that as a skill, because
Right.
not because I think I'm good at it or I think I'm going to change the world necessarily, although we can hope. But I feel privileged because it's like writing a diary. It's a really good release of emotion, and to have that as something that I go to and I can use almost as therapy is a real privilege. And I love that about myself, and I love that, and I love that I can use that to, whether I feel happy, sad, indifferent, who knows. So yeah.
As you like writing, so tell me, what will be the title of your memoir?
Wow, that's really good.
You're looking away like, oh my God.
Really good. I'm trying to think of things I've put in my I'm trying to think of things I've written down recently. You know, I said I jot things down as I go. And I've written, so my notes page on my phone is full of just everything just says lyric, and then underneath it it's got the lyric, but it's like really hard to actually filter through because I've not labeled anything correctly.
But what's your mind when you think about if you write, if you had your memoir ready, you need to put like a title, what that would be right now in your life at the moment? Not right or wrong, it's just how you feel it, genuinely.
Do you know, I saw a video the other day, and it was on Instagram. It was like a reel, and it was about it was a guy narrating, and he said, "Picture this: it's 2035, and you've just turned off your favorite film, which was made in 2033, and then you're putting to bed your child who was born in 2032, who you had with your wife, you met in 2029." And it went back, and I watched it, and it was really inspired by it, and the words that came to my head when I watched it were, it's all in front of you.
Okay.
So maybe currently, if I had to do it now, it would be that it's, because I think a lot of people spend too long worrying about, I've wasted the last year or 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's all in front of you. Let's not worry about that. It's all in front of you. So maybe that, if I could think of anything, that might be it, but I don't know.
I like that. I think it's very unique, for sure. 3 questions left. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, before the next question, tell me 3 names of 3 artists that you always be inspired by. 3 names.
That I've always been inspired by.
Yeah, that you admire in the music industry.
But it's always moving. I don't know if there's people I have always been, but certainly people that now I would say I'm inspired by.
Yeah.
The Beatles will always be up there. I have the Abbey Road, you know, the Beatles walking across Abbey Road. That's tattooed along my arm. I think recently I've been listening to a lot more blues and folk music. And the Bob Dylan film came out at the start of this year, and I think
beautiful movie.
Yeah, Yeah, it's amazing film.
I've
Really,
been to I've been to his concert actually a few years ago in
have
Lisbon.
you? Wow,
A
that's
friend
amazing.
a friend of mine, he's actually, you look like a little bit, you have something of Bob Dylan when he was younger. You got
Yeah,
some,
I get told I look like
the actor.
Timothy Chalamet. I get told I look
Yeah, you're
almost every
right.
single day of
You
my life.
got something.
I don't see it personally. I think it's just the hair, but I do get told a lot. But I think Bob Dylan was amazing, and I think the reason I connect with his music as well is because he was a big storyteller. Everything
Right.
was, you can paint pictures in your head. Ooh, you can paint pictures in your head about what he's singing about, and you can really engage with those narratives. And I think the Beatles did the same. And I think people like Bowie and Billy Joel, they did the same. These guys are like the real like sort of founders of why music is what it is today. Um, but then if you come in even into modern, I mean, I've given you more than three there, I know. But if you, I feel like I've just done these guys over there. But if you come into modern day, there are some really cool bands coming out now. Really, they're a band called Fontaines DC, who are probably the biggest band on the planet at the moment. But the way
I,
that they write their songs is really powerful and really political and really forward thinking. And so you have a really, it ranges. But for me, if I connect with it when it's, I can hear a story and I can engage with the story. So these old guys, I'd say the Beatles, Dylan and Bowie. Let's go with those three as.
okay, so let's pretend that the Beatles, the whole band, they're still with us, and also Dave Bowie. One day you're gonna wake up in the morning, have three missed calls on your phone: one from Bob Dylan, one from the Beatles all together, and one from Dave Bowie. Which one you call back straight away?
My mom.
Wait, wait,
I call
wait,
my
wait.
mom.
Which one you send a message? I call you back later. And the third one, you don't call back, you don't send a
Oh,
message, you just ignore. Oh my God. Tell me. I know. Ooh.
um.
Which one you call back straight away?
Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this tactically.
Don't be cheeky, okay? Don't be cheeky.
I'm gonna do this. This is an impossible question, so I have to be cheeky.
You need to just pick up the phone and call this person straight
Yeah.
away.
No. I've got it. Do you know what? I'm not calling Bob Dylan back because I don't think he picks up.
No, don't be cheeky. I
That's-
know he wouldn't anyway, but
I don't think he picks up.
but remember that he called you before, so he's expecting your call, right?
He doesn't like speaking to people. Oh man.
I know it's really hard, but you need to call someone back.
I'm not happy with any of the possible answers. I'm not happy with any of the possible answers. I think I'd probably call back the Beatles.
Right. Which one send a message? I call you back later.
And I wouldn't know. David Bowie, I probably don't call.
Right.
And then it's whether I call back the Beatles or I call back Bob Dylan, but one of the two. I think I probably call back the Beatles, and then I tell Dylan that I'll call him back in a second. And then,
Oh my God.
but then
Doubt that he's not gonna pick up your call anyway after that.
I know exactly. So then I'm calling Bowie instead.
I love it. Right. Next question is that a dream you always had?
I think it changes though. I think it changes with, as I said, I'm 25 years old, and when I was speaking to someone recently, and I said, each year of your life, I think from like 15, probably all the way through till 30, mid 30s, I don't know. I'm not at the end of this process, but I think in this period of life, you change so much with each year, and which is why it's really silly to ever pretend like you know everything, because you just don't. But like, and if I think back to who I was 2 years ago, I look at that boy and I think, wow, you were a different man, like completely.
Yeah.
And 2 years prior to that, I was, wow, different. So I think the circumstances always change, and therefore the dream always changes. I think I've always stuck by like wanting to. Thanks, mate. I think I've always stuck by wanting to just like have at least some sort of lasting product or memory of myself, which is a little bit, I think, maybe materialistic. I think many people would say that the most important things are happiness and family and all the rest of it. But I remember walking in a supermarket, a supermarket, and hearing Penny Lane by the Beatles on the radio and thinking to myself, wow, this song was written by like about 50 years ago by four guys, two of whom are dead, and it's still being played in
I know.
in a Tesco in
Yeah.
London.
It's great. It's great to know to have this moment to sort of think about it.
That's the most incredible thing.
Yeah.
That you can have a lasting memory, and you can kind of live on forever through your art. I think
Yeah.
that's a really cool thing.
I see.
Maybe that would be nice, just to have something, some lasting impact that I leave behind, I think.
Amazing. Love that. 2 questions left. Let's do it. You still think about the call, the test, and the thing?
Can't get over it.
I love it. Right. So before the next question, let's do another game again. As you know, you are an actor as well. You know, you have drama school and also you love movies. So let's pretend one day, yeah, you get the biggest budgets, you know, to create like a movie or a scene or a play, and you can choose anyone. You can pay anyone to be your mom. You can choose any actor to play your dad. You can choose anyone as well to play your romantic lover, yeah, in this movie.
Right. Yeah.
And also you can pay anyone, any director or, you know, the producer, a big one, to get to help you to put all together. So tell me those names.
Fantastic. Mum, dad, girlfriend, and producer.
Yeah, like the big producer, the big boss, to put all together.
Okay. Fantastic.
You get more excited about it.
Helena Bonham Carter would play my mum.
Okay.
She's a fabulous actor.
Okay.
I think I would have Gary Oldman play my father, because I think he's the greatest actor that I've ever watched in my life.
Okay.
And I think he's and it always comes across as just a true gentleman. Both of them come across as beautiful people whenever I see them interviewed. I would have great question. Who would play my partner? That's a fantastic question.
Wow.
I'm trying not to be just pick someone who I find attractive here. I'm trying to also think about who I you know, think is
whoever you say now where gave away, so it's gonna be attractive for sure. Whatever you say.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's
you've got the biggest budget, so you can pay anyone, any actress to...
I can pay any actress to... Okay, do you know who I'd choose at this point in time? I saw... Oh, can I have someone from a different era?
Of course. Can
I have like Julia Roberts from like...
Wow.
1990s.
Like Pretty Woman.
Like Pretty Woman Julia Roberts, or like Notting Hill Julia Roberts.
Wow, amazing. Absolutely. Of course.
My romantic lover.
Of course.
Or I would have, I think who's really amazing is, her name's escaped my mind. She's an English actress, Florence Pugh.
Okay.
She's also probably about 10 years older than me. But I think she's beautiful, and I think she's one of the most incredible actresses.
I like that. To have two girlfriends to play around in the. I like that.
It doesn't give a musician a good name, does it? I've chosen to.
It's the big boss to get to help you to put all together.
The big boss would be, I mean, is in like a film director, a producer. Or something.
Director or one of the big names.
It would be like a Christopher Nolan or Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott's more big budget, like sort of maybe Christopher Nolan. I think he's a good people actor. He works well on things like that. Yeah.
Perfect.
You can't really sniff your nose at Christopher Nolan directing.
We got there in the end. We got there. Okay. Next question is, who has been the most influential person in your life and why?
My father.
Wow.
Yeah. Without doubt. He's taught me so much. Just as a human being, he's been beautifully honest with me for my entire life. He's never condemned me for doing things that normal 12-year-old boys should do or normal 15-year-old boys should do, you know? When he caught me smoking when I was like 14, he never shouted. He taught me the lesson. He never, you know, he was, and he has shouted when I've deserved it, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
He's always made himself wonderfully available, emotionally available to me, which as a boy, a man in growing up in South London isn't the most given thing.
Wow.
He's allowed me, and not only just allowed me, but encouraged me to, you know, be creative and follow those creative passions and not just try and block off so that I do something more studious that might pay a bit better. And he's allowed those been part of spending. He's bought things for me that are probably too much for me to try and support those passions. And he's a wonderful man. And he also upholds. He'll be 60 next year, and he still openly and honestly learns every day and says he's still learning from younger people, from children, from everybody. He's a learner of life, and I think he's a brilliant man.
Oh, sweet, very sweet. I thought when you said that he caught you smoking, I thought you would say, and he got another cigarette and he sat down and smoked with me.
yeah, well, well.
I know. I'm just saying, I thought you would say that because you said he's very supportive and everything. Saying that, you mentioned that you guys are very similar. You have a lot of similarity. And what, in your opinion, what's the biggest difference between both of you?
He's 6'4", I'm 5'8".
Wow, he's quite tall. Wow.
I never got there. My mum's only 5 foot, so I fell in between them completely. Biggest difference between us. I think the differences are closing all the time, and the older I get, the more similar we get. Yeah, I don't know. We get similar. We honestly get similar by the year, by the week. It's ridiculous.
It's amazing.
He can drink a lot more than me, but that's because he's bigger. You know, he's a big, broad man. I don't know. Maybe his music taste is stuck in. I always laugh at him, and I'm making him change, and that's because he's a learner again. But I always think he's listened to the same music for like the last 20 years. He doesn't listen to anything new. And he recently went on a little sort of trip and drove the whole north coast of Scotland by himself. Wow. And he asked me to send him like 10 albums to listen to I've never heard before. So he is learning, but maybe our music tastes are a little different. I don't know. But yeah.
Amazing. Great. Last question. Ready?
Go for it.
Let's do it. Last one. Do you like dancing, Jack?
I'm terrible at it. I hate it.
Before the last question, tell me what music has taught you so far.
What music's taught me so far?
Yeah.
What has music taught me so far? About what? Life or?
You tell me what music, when you think about music, tell me what music, when what's something that music brought to your life?
I think music helps. It helps reminisce in two ways. It helps put things into perspective a little bit, because sometimes I write things and I know how emotionally charged that writing is, and let's say I'm heartbroken or whatever it is, I can write something and feel unbelievably sad about it. Let's use that context. Let's say I was writing a song about somebody that hurt me, and then in like a year's time, that song existing and knowing how I felt at the time,
yeah,
I don't care as much now, does two things. allows you to still give value to what someone or something meant to you and not forget about how important somebody in your life was.
Yeah.
But also allows you to see how far you've grown and how much work you've done on yourself and how much better you are. And it works in both ways. You know, there's songs I've written about dreaming of things, and sometimes you listen to them and maybe you've been a bit busy with life and you've kind of lost your way a bit, and then you hear a song or you think about a song or you go back over something and you reconnect with the dreamer that's still there, you know?
Yeah.
So I think music's taught me to reflect.
See? Okay. Last question for you is, what do you think is a good age to start dating and why?
I mean, there's so many possible ways of answering this. Whenever you want to, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But there's certain safety,
of course,
concerns with depending on what age that is.
Yeah.
There are laws in place for a reason, which I'm not going to question or challenge. But I think if you think you love somebody, or if you just like them a bit, then you should spend time with that person and you should tell them. And if we want to call that dating, then you can call that dating, or we can just call it spending time with people you love. And I think that's enough, isn't it? At any age.
Amazing. And you know, when you are in the dating world, when you are, you know, in this moment in your life, what's something about a girl that gets your attention? What's something that when you're gonna date with someone, what's something that why you smile before you
asking me what my type is that what you're asking?
I mean, it depends your answer. It's something about the person, you know, that gets your attention straight away, not just physically, but, you know, personality as well. I'm just romanticizing the question, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, aesthetically, I've dated a wide range of people, the people that have looked very different from each other. So
sure.
I always like someone with nice eyes and a nice smile. That tends to be consistent. But as far as the rest of what makes up a person's look, my dating history has ranged massively. I think it's hard to know this from just looking at somebody, because if you just look at someone across a room, then that is kind of, you only look at what they look like.
Of course.
But having, you know, from a first conversation with someone, I used to think I was attracted to talented people, the creatively talented people. So a singer or a dancer or you know, an actor or whatever. And I've dated a lot of people in the creative world, which I think creatives tend to do. Because there is a certain energy there and a certain similarity there. But I think I've learned now that actually what I find attractive is people who are just passionate about what it is they do, who really believe. And I think that's why, because a lot of creatives are passionate about what they do. So that comes kind of naturally. But if I meet somebody who's one of my past partners has been, they worked with young children in a school, and they were so passionate about giving children an education, and the right education, and that to me was the most beautiful thing, that they wanted to, what they wanted to do was really what they wanted to do, and they wanted to be better at it, and they wanted to always improve it. And so it can be anything, but as long as you're passionate, if you want to, you know, if you want to replant a forest and you're passionate about the environment, I love that. But I want you to come home and I want you to tell me everything about it, and I want you to tell me why you're annoyed or why you're happy and what you're trying to do about it, and rather than someone who just goes, yeah, same old. I want someone who's really into what they're doing. So, but otherwise it can be anything. But as long as you're passionate, I'm there.
I totally agree with you. I think, you know, passionate people, whatever, as you said, whatever it is, you feel it and it becomes very attractive. You know, you feel like, my God, that's it built there. It's everything together. I think passionate about something, something that attracts other people for sure. Amazing.
I also think passionate people are the happiest people, because they're always working on something, and they're never stagnant and sitting still. So they're good people to surround yourself with, I think.
Amazing. Right, not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. I'm going to give away some words. Just the one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking, okay?
Okay.
Let's start with money.
Dollar.
Okay. Fear.
Sorry?
Fear.
Oh, death.
Life.
Music.
Family.
Mum and dad.
Love.
Heartbroken.
That's a good time for writing songs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
One word for religion.
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 My grandmother.
Okay. Sex.
Late nights.
Ooh. Friendship.
Home.
Politics.
I was gonna say I don't care. I do care, but as in, I think politics. It's a mess. A mess. Let's say a mess.
Okay. Desire.
Passion
Regret.
doesn't exist.
Success.
One day.
Wish.
Birthday.
Happiness.
Music.
One word for London.
Oh, the best city in the world.
One word for England.
That's really good. I'm gonna say the World Cup, like the football World Cup.
I'm from Brazil, so I could doubt that. I'm joking. All right. One word for music.
Everything.
One word for songwriter.
Therapy.
I like that. And the last one now, singing. One word.
Fun. Everyone can do it. It's fun. You don't have to be good or bad. We'll have a sing song. It'll make you feel better. That's it.
Let's pretend I'm going to meet your dad for a coffee, and I'm going to ask your dad, define Jack in one positive and one negative word only. What he would say.
Wow, that's really clever. You should ask my dad. One positive. Define me in a positive way. I think my dad would speak of me similarly to the way I spoke of him. I think he would speak of me as a... Actually, I think my dad would speak of me as a bit of not a daredevil in the sense of I don't do stunts. I'm not that, but as in I throw myself into things. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be better. I push myself as much as I possibly can, always. My dad shies away from that a little bit. He needs a bit more structure. I'm a bit more freeform. When I moved into my flat, I couldn't afford the rent. So I told myself I'll move in there because then I'll have to make enough money to be able to afford the rent. And now I do. But until I had something to motivate me to do that. So I'm maybe a little bit chaotic, a little bit careless, he might say.
Right.
But he'd say that in a positive way. And then
I like this adventure way. I like that. It's very adventurous.
Yeah, yeah. And then one thing, sorry, what was it? One positive and one negative thing he'd say?
Yeah.
And one negative thing he would say, one negative thing he would say. He would tell me that he would tell me that I need to be kinder to myself and that I attach myself to women who don't treat me kind enough. And that I need to be sensible.
Okay. When this interview goes live, when you get to this point, you pause it and you show him to see his answer, and after you play again to see if you're gonna get right.
I'll message you and I'll tell you what he says. And
actually, you can ask him, Dad, if you have this call from David Bowie, Bob Dylan, and the Beatles, which one you call? Do the same.
He would choose none of them. He wouldn't call Bob Dylan. He would probably call back Bowie straight away, and he'd tell the Beatles to. That'll be my prediction. I'll ask him and I'll let you know. He would ignore Bob Dylan. He would call Bowie back straight away, and he would tell the Beatles to wait an hour. Completely different from me.
Oh wow! Let's play now, Jack, in the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But before you ask me the question, when people they come to see your gigs, to see your singing, what's something that would you like people to take with them?
That's really good. Well, I look at it from a business point of view, I guess. But I also think part of the business is making people go away feeling happy. So I guess it's not just a business thing. But the target was always, when writing music and doing live shows, everyone will say to have a good time, to make people laugh. You know, I'm a people person. I like making people laugh. I gig 3, 4, 5 times a week in the city, in Soho, and all around London. And I always connect with new people. But when I'm playing my music, the goal was always, can you get someone leaving and going home that night singing my song?
Oh, wow.
In their head. It's stuck. You know when you've got a tune stuck in your head?
Yeah, yeah.
So I want someone going, man, what was that song? You know how whatever it is. Or I think now, that was a while back, and now I think it's more about people. I want people to say, what was that song about this story? You know?
Right.
And if I've done that, it's because I've connected with somebody. So that's, I think, always what I try and aim for.
Beautiful. Okay, can I ask me a question now, Jack?
Okay. So I thought about it. I was like I wanted to be a little niche, because you said not about the show and all the rest of it. And then you said you're from Brazil, right?
I'm from Brazil. Originally from Brazil, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you something. Who is your favorite Brazilian footballer of all time?
Football player?
Yeah.
Okay, good question.
Are you a football
man?
I
love sports. Absolutely. I love sports. I mean, growing up, I was playing volleyball for years as a teenager.
Who do you support?
In Brazil or in England?
Either, both.
Okay, so Brazil, there's a football club called Corinthians. Have you heard of it?
Corinthians? Yeah. Who came out Corinthians?
Corinthians, yeah.
Yeah, who came out of... That was Neymar, no?
I'm not sure because it's been so long since I left Brazil. But I support them, but I don't watch. Like I'm not
Sure.
Okay, so football player. Let's go back to the question. Football player. You know what? There's one that I think it's because when I was a teenager, I kind of saw him, explode around the world. And Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo. There's something about him. That when he was like in his peak.
Huh?
When he was like in his peak, playing in Barcelona, when he was in Real Madrid, oh my God, that was something about him that it always got me. I remember I was a teenager. Yeah, I would go for him. You know what I mean? I heard so other players as well. Like I like Figo. I like Figo, the Portuguese one as well. During the same time they were playing. I like those new generation, like Cristiano Ronaldo. I quite like his, way. Oh my God, yeah. But I would go to Ronaldo because somehow I remember as a teenager growing up, and it's funny because when I watched him playing, I thought he was dancing. He wasn't like playing; he was dancing like in the.
It's so effortless, isn't it?
Yeah, he did something. I remember, like I watched sometimes some clips of him, like YouTube. They make some clips. My God, what he was doing with those legs in the ball, like, was impossible for the other players. It was like it felt like he was playing, like like joking, playing, not like serious.
Yeah, completely.
So yeah, I would go for Ronaldo for sure. And in football, I like Liverpool for some reason. I like Liverpool. Look at your face. I like Liverpool, and I don't know. I have something. I think it's because my friend who is a big fan of Bob Dylan. I think he's from Liverpool, and we kind of, watch.
Bob Dylan.
No, said my friend who loves Bob Dylan. He's from Liverpool, so that's why I kind of.
Oh, your friend's from Liverpool.
Yeah, he's from Liverpool.
I was like, Bob Dylan's from America. I was like,
I know.
Yeah, got you.
So yeah, so I think I've got something, but I'm very used to football. When I watch I like to watch those big finals, like the Premier League. Those I get it, and I like to watch
the FA Cup final.
Sorry,
you watched the FA Cup final?
I didn't. No, I didn't. But yeah,
I'm a Crystal Palace fan, and it's the first trophy we've ever won.
You're Crystal Palace.
One of the best
Really?
days of my life. Yeah, South London. One of the best days of my life.
Do you know what? I was editing an interview today with a man, a lovely man. We talked about football, and he loves Crystal Palace as well. Actually, yes, I finished the interview yesterday. I was editing his interview. He's
Yeah.
from somewhere in England, and he loves Crystal Palace as well. Amazing. Did you enjoy the interview?
That was great. It's such good fun. Thank you so much for asking me on.
Thanks again for taking the time. Thanks for bringing your vibe to the show. I love, again, back to passionate people. I love people when they come to express themselves, to express their passion. I think people, they appreciate that. So thanks again. I know you're a busy man and you made time for the interview, Jack. So I appreciate your time. Thanks
No
again.
problem at all, man. No worries
Be-
at all.
Before we go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
I have a tattoo on my chest here.
Hmm?
And it's one word. The word is desiderata. D-E-S-I-D E-R-A-T-A. Desiderata. I'm gonna have to look in a minute, but check. But it's a poem. It's a Latin word, and a Latin-Italian word. And in those languages, it means something that's needed or wanted or desired, which is not what I think of myself. But it's also the name of this poem.
Okay.
And if you look up the poem, it's by Mark or Max Ehrman, either Max or Mark. I think it's Max. I always forget, which is really bad. But my positive message would be read that poem. Everything in that poem is it's a lot of rhyme, really. It's just a big body of text, but it's like your grandma sat you down and said, William, this is everything you need to know about life, about friendship, family, love, money, work, the lot. And it's such a calming piece of, and whenever I have a bad time or I feel stressed, I go back to it. So the positive message would be go and read that poem, Desiderata, and everything will be okay again.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Then regards to your dad and to your family and friends, and keep in touch. Okay, it was a pleasure.
Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.